Hi there, welcome to the first devlog of my upcoming game, Choose Your Own Alternative. It's planned to release on Steam in the second quarter of 2026 and is a text-based adventure where you are tasked to exorcise your friend's inner demon in a mysterious place where memories take the shape of beloved objects. To do so, you will have to figure out which among those objects is the reason for her possession and eventually make the final decision. What to do with the demon inhabiting her. In this devlog, I'd like to walk you through the creative process that led me and the freelance artist to the final capsule art. But first, let's properly introduce her. Masha Zellweger is a very talented illustrator and comic book artist. The reason I chose her was to avoid the digital painting look usually found on Steam capsules. I knew she could bring a more traditional painting feel to the table, which is what I was aiming for with this capsule. The earliest version of the capsule art was done by myself and took a quite literal approach to the whole demonology and exorcising concepts, along with having too much visual clutter. I settled for good enough and kept brainstorming the creative vision I had for the real capsule. These are early sketches that I made to experiment with various compositions and key visual elements such as the objects, the inner demon, the character's hair, and the act of exorcising. The core question at that time was how to represent the inner demon, the sacrifice of objects, and the conflicting relationship between the two main characters of the game. I shared many details in an art brief, and from then onward we exchanged via mail. In that brief, I emphasized the various design pillars of the game, among which 3 are of major importance for the capsule art. Number 1, to present the inner demon as a complex creature, almost as a tragic one like you can find in Cabinon's painting or in an anime like Devilman Crybaby. Number 2, to provoke both fear, wonder and melancholy when faced with an alien being. This is the type of aesthetics you find in movies like Annihilation or Arrival, where beauty and danger always coexist. And number 3, to show the ambiguity of the character, as it is the foundation of psychological horror. Truth is always questioned, both about the environment, other people, and your own psyche. Shattered mirrors, bleeding figures, ever-changing furniture, and half-eaten faces are very common visual designs of the genre. That being said, the psychological horror of Choose Your Own Alternative is not as predominant as in other games, so it's very slight here compared to, say, something like Slay the Princess. With all that in mind, the first step was to sketch out new compositions. Masha drew a couple of them, among which 2 really caught my attention. They helped us identify key visual elements like the eye, the hands, the horns, the iris flower, and the symbolic object. While the first sketch focused on the sacrifice, the second was a more eerie and almost unsettling representation of the conflict between the 2 characters, because Iris is both the name of the flower and of the protagonist. Now it was a matter of refining the visual design and figuring out which elements were the most important to keep. And in the end, we decided it was the hands, the iris, the hair, and the horns. Then Masha sent me 3 colored versions of the new design. The central version closely matched the game aesthetic, and I felt it would also make the other key elements pop more. So I told her that the second version was my favorite and to add the flower wing. But something I failed to consider is that creating a halo effect, like emitting from the flower, on the black skin would not work. Moreover, I realized it would not bring enough contrast in the context of the Steam page, which is grey-blue. That's why we ended up picking a clear skin version. And after a couple more experiments with texturing and contrast, the final capsule art was made. If you enjoy this type of content, consider wishlisting the game on Steam and joining the mailing list to participate in the next playtest. See you!